Hello and welcome to the second part of my PHOGS 90% Speedrun tutorial series. This episode or part is going to go over the play world. If you're learning the game and you haven't seen the first part going over the tutorial level and sleep, I would recommend you do so, just because I'm going to be using some terminology and referring to sort of basic movement techniques without really explaining them from now on, and I do explain them in that first part, so I'd recommend that if you haven't. Otherwise, we're just going to start off. So, as with every hub world, play is going to open off with a cutscene, so we're going to immediately exit and re-enter, and we're going to space out a bit so that we don't go too early that it's deloaded, and we go late enough that, and we don't go too late that we avoid that instant warp that we get there. So try and do that with that timing. And we're going to move on to Breezy Beach. So, play is interesting because the first half of play is probably the hardest part of the game. I always refer to it as Reset Hell. And Breezy Beach is absolutely not an exception. So, the first thing we're going to do, if we head over here, we have this worm in the water. If we go turn on visualizations, including invisible walls, and let's make the island goal opaque just so it's easier to see. You're going to see that underneath here, it actually pokes out a tiny bit above this invisible wall here, as you can see. And so we're going to try and get into that, and that's very, very hard. And that's hard. It's hard for me to state how difficult this is. As you can see, you have this middle cylinder, so like the actual middle part is not under. See, this is above the invisible wall, whereas these, you have to get into these corners here, which is hard to really judge, and you more or less just fiddle around in there until you get it, really. So that's the goal of Breezy Beach, is to get underneath this worm using the water, and then just go to the end of the level. And there's a few ways to get there first, and I'll also show you how to do the level without doing this strat, because it is one of the hardest strats in the game, and it's also not really viable for co-op, because at least my setup for it involves switching from one head stretching to switching it from to another head stretching basically instantly, which with two people controlling the fog, that's going to be pretty difficult. So I'll show off multiple strats. So first question is, how are we going to get over there? So the fastest way to get over here is actually to uppy up onto this worm here. This isn't easy. And then we're going to try and... it's actually lined up pretty well. You're going to try and hover over this invisible wall. So let's try it out. Actually, I did not like that. I should have gone for it because I fell off anyways, but... this is very hard, and this is something I just like always reset on. This is one of my main reset points, is this specific jump. I'd like to be able to get on at least, though. That would be nice. And yeah, you gotta make sure that blue head doesn't fall into that pit, because you're not really gonna be able to pull it out if you do, but it's okay if red falls in. Okay, come on, dude. I'm gonna adjust my setup here with my keyboard. Apologies for the loud noise. It's my keyboard tray since I have my mic on my desk. The vibration on the desk is gonna make it difficult, but I think sitting closer like how I usually do. I was trying to have my keyboard tray fully extended so I could use the keyboard easily, but I think sitting far away is making that hard. You're also going to see sometimes the camera just doesn't want to cooperate on this. There we go, that should have it. Yeah, so you're going to see blue head's just barely going to make it over that death plane. And we're going to try and land on this platform here, just because we're going to need to have jump height to get under the worm. And you can do that just by jumping in the water over and over again, but we can do it faster by taking some free jump height from here. And then when we're here, we're going to stretch blue, and then try and slide red under like that. And now, we're going to stretch both heads. And then we're going to see blue heads start being pulled down. And when that happens, we're going to release blue. And then about a second later, we're going to release red. And if we time it just right, both heads should go under. So let's try it out. Oh wait, I just realized I did it wrong. Shoot. Yeah, this is very hard. Almost. Didn't quite pull blue down hard enough. So yeah, okay, so this is a good example. I'm actually going to turn visualizations off for this because I think I might find it easier. But this is how you can build height in the water. You just, when you get to the lowest point in the water, start barking. And then that will send you higher each time, and then you should be able to make it under the same way. There we go. Both heads are under now. So as you can see, it's extremely difficult to like actually position yourself and line it up with the exit. You can see I'm like sort of, they're rapidly flashing in and out, not really getting it. So I found the best sort of setup for this is to just stretch and de-stretch like this until you get it, where you're stretching one head out each side, and then eventually it'll just send you through like that. That can take much longer or much shorter. It's very, very inconsistent. But doing that worm clip does save about 3 minutes overall, so even if you're not doing it optimally, it's still worth doing. I'm actually going to go back to the start. Actually, I'll just Alt-L to Breezy Beach. I'm going to show you another method for getting over there. If you find that opening hover a bit too inconsistent, because it is very hard. Once you're up here, and this is going to be true whether you're skipping the content or not, it will be faster. So you can ride down that rail, that's what the game wants you to do. And you can actually release right here and just slide down. As long as you make sure to avoid this corner death plane here. But that's not too hard, so I'm not really going to show it. What you can do instead that's slightly faster is hover off here and make it over this death plane. So let's show that. So we're going to line Redhead up with like this section right here, and then send blue off. And then as red starts being pulled off, start barking with both. And you'll land here, and then you can get this checkpoint and respawn to put you in here. You can play the ball game if you want, or you can do, if you're doing the 3-star worm skip that I showed earlier, you can do this to also skip this worm. We're going to be using water jumps here, and we're going to push ourselves, we're going to go in at the sort of end of the sphere, and then go out at the middle of the sphere, and that's going to put us in the water more, so it's going to give us more upwards momentum, and then we're going to jump across once we have enough momentum. Now it'll put us over here, and then we would do the worm clip the same way. That's slightly slower, but it is much, much easier than the hover straight from the beginning. So you can take your pick. Gonna show playing this game now. So this is probably what you'll be doing if you're playing co-op, because if you skip this section, then you can't complete the minigames in the next section, so you have to do the 3-star worm clip. You're just going to push that ball, stretch, and then get it caught in the middle, and that makes it really easy to push. And then open the capsule. Worth noting, you can also do the same thing where you get under this worm. It's actually much easier to get under this worm, but with how short that minigame is, if you're not skipping this worm, it's not really worth doing. But it is something you can do. It's nothing special about the 3-star worm that makes it so that you can do that, other than that there's water there. So when you get spit out, you're going to be doing more water jumps, where you're going to start barking at your lowest point. To get up on this sandcastle. And if I turn on trigger camera motion, we're going to see this cutscene here. So just make sure when you're going off this sand castle, you don't touch this. This is going to trigger a very, very long, like 30-second cutscene. So that would be very bad. So try and avoid that. But it's not too hard. It doesn't extend out too much. Just be a bit careful. So with the minigames here, they're going to be played basically the same as a casual playthrough. We're just going to be a bit more efficient. So, ooh, look at that duck position. I've never seen that. Duck on the wall. It fell over! The game's still completable. There's no reason it isn't, because it has an extra of each color, but that's interesting. I've never seen that. So yeah, just have one person grab ducks, one person put them in. Not too much tech for this game other than... Uh-oh. There we go. Other than just, like, getting used to judging the depth of the ducks. On this final duck... So the fastest way to get off this minigame is to respawn, and that will put you back towards the center. What we're actually going to do is we're going to bring the duck over and then respawn right now, and that will actually put the duck in. We're already over here, so that's just a handy little warp. Look at that duck go! It's amazing. Anyways, you don't need to pick up this, or open this capsule. So, as a general rule in this game, only the last capsule of a worm needs to be opened. There's some exceptions to that, but this is not one of them. So we just need to get the capsules to spawn, and they'll open themselves. So this minigame, I'm almost certainly not going to be able to show it, but I'll explain what you can do. You can see that these two balloons are very, very close together, and if you fire a shot right into the middle here, you can pop both of them with one shot. So optimally, you would do this game with 3 shots. Left, middle, and then the 2 right ones with 1 shot, so... Just spend time lining this up nicely. And did I get it? No. Unfortunately, hitting that one's going to send that one wild, but you can still get it. You can also respawn after this one if you want, but for me at least, I always find it really, really hard to judge sort of the whether the last shot is going to hit or not. And it can be annoying if you misjudge, and then you have to walk all the way back here. And it only saves this movement right here, so it's not huge, but it is something you can do if you feel like it. And we're going to go across the water here. Since this is the fastest straight line to the next minigame. Go around this sandcastle. So there's a few different ways to just set up doing this sort of roll-wise. Especially with this second part here. So what most players like to do is have 2 heads grab on like this, and then the head on the right is going to let go and swing around to get this one. That is one way to do it. My way of doing it is I grab this and then go across like that, and that also works. Both work, whatever you're comfortable with. So on this one, we're going to stretch out and grab this, and we're going to be able to use that stretch to fling ourselves when we're done. So if we go grab this, and then we go whoop, and that will just give us a bit of extra speed, getting over here slightly faster. And then, again, you can do this the same way I was talking about before, where you do the swing, or you can do it where you just move along sideways like I just did right there. Make sure to, on this pipe right here, just hold it extra long, because it can get in sort of like the middle of that sun and then roll back out if you let go. So I'd recommend not letting go until it's all the way through the sun. And then the final one right here is going to be like the one where we flinged on, but we can actually fling during the cutscene with this, so it's even better. So you can see, even like after the cutscene started, I was moving forwards a little bit. So you're able to move a bit closer to the capsule during that cutscene. And then we're going to open this capsule, and that's going to be the final capsule, and you'll see we have 3 stars, even though we didn't open the other 2. And then you'll just be able to walk over and go into the warp normally. So that's what you do if you aren't doing this skip here. So, this house section isn't too exciting. There's really only one way to do it. I'm going to turn off visualizations because the invisible walls here are blocking your view. But we're going to send one out, grab that, and let go and jump across here. Sometimes the balls can be annoying and mess up the seesaw there, but just adapt. Go up this. Try to go over these mirrors if you can, just to cut the corner a bit. So with these levers, it's best to grab them with both heads. It will move it slightly faster. So you can see this is the speed if I'm doing both heads. It's decently quick. If I do it with just one, it's going to be slightly slower, because I'm actually going to need to bring the other head around before it'll start pulling properly. You can see I don't pull until red is actually over to the other side, so it's going to take a little bit longer than if you grabbed with both. And likewise is true with this lever here. And basically, any grabbable in the game is faster to move with both heads, as a general rule. But sometimes you can get caught on these levers, so you might decide it's worth it to grab just one to avoid that. Your choice. Anyways, you grab... Whoops, let me off. Alright, on this spinner, you actually don't want to cut off to the left side here. It's actually slightly slower. Instead, you're going to want to go on the right side, and that will push you around for you. And then just go into the final worm. And that's Breezy Beach. So, the super hard levels of Playworld do not stop there. And the next level, Putting Pirates, is going to continue this trend, because Play is the hardest world in the game. By a lot, in my opinion. Outside of, like, Early Nightmare, if you want to count that. I'd say that's harder than anything in Play. By itself. Or at least more punishing. You lose more time when you fail it. So, Putting Pirates. Want to give a showcase of this, because this is probably the most proud I've been of a skip that I've found. So you're going to see, until we complete the golf game, there's going to be a huge death plane blocking off the beginning of the ball game. And you can actually soft lock the game, because you can get into the trigger to activate this tube that puts you in the ball, but then that's going to keep spawning you over and over again in this death plane. And so every frame it will be respawning you, and you'll actually be unable to even pause the game. You have to like alt-tab and quit out. But it is actually possible to not only more or less completely skip the golf game, but completely skip the ball game as well. They'll show that. You do need to start the golf game, so you do need to watch this cutscene, because we're going to be using the magnificent powers of the golf ball. The golf ball in this game is an object that is just made of miracles. It's like the Play equivalent of like the alarm clock. You can just do anything with it if you feel like it. There's just so much busted stuff you can do. I'm gonna stretch a bit to on this conveyor to actually purposefully slow myself down. I'm gonna actually show what happens if I don't do that. So if you don't stretch on this conveyor, it'll actually push you so fast that you go all the way over here. But it's actually a little bit faster to just stretch and de-stretch to slow yourself down a bit. So you can clip into the corner of that wheel. Now, if that's trivially easy, I'm going to turn off visualizations. So, we're going to be abusing a bug when we pick up this golf ball, where if we pick it up on the first frame that it spawns, it will have sort of unloaded properties. In fact, so like normally if I grab a ball, you'll see that I'm actually gonna launch this ball off just because I want to show something else. You see, it's gonna be locked in place until we fire it. And that's not really ideal. So that's actually the main property we're gonna be avoiding by picking it up on the first frame. So what we're gonna do is we're going to push it down this way and then launch it to the side. If you launch it straight off the back, that might seem like the fastest way to do it. But actually, I'll show... It can get lodged in this whale tail right here, and then you have to go down and push it out. And so it's better to just push it off to the side like this, where it's guaranteed to despawn very, very quick. We're trying to hit a death plane with this. And then we're going to immediately respawn. And I'm going to be using a grab buffer, because if you hold grab, it will grab on the first frame it sees a grabbable object. So we're going to be using that there, where I'm going to be holding right bumper to buffer a grab on the red head. Like so. And there you go. So you're going to see the ball's not really loaded properly right now, and I can pull it around as I feel like it. If I grab it with the blue head, though, it's actually going to resume having its normal properties. So what the goal is going to be is we're going to jump off right here and then grab the ball with the blue head midair. And what that will do is it will freeze it in place, because for blue it's a normal golf ball. We'll then let go of red and then do a fling all the way to the end of the level over here. This is very, very tricky and takes a lot of practice, and I might fail this a couple times, but it saves a lot of time, so I think it's definitely worth learning, even if you're just starting out. And it just saves a lot of pain, because putting pirates is kind of a pain in the ass level. So jump off right here, and then we're going to go over and then grab in the air like this. Around here is fine. You don't need to get too much distance, but any extra distance you can get is a nice little bonus. And then just fling off like that. And if I did this right, yeah, that should be good enough. Yeah. So I'll actually show this checkpoint. It's a very large one, so you don't actually need to make it onto this platform. You just need to make it into this checkpoint. So you can even like land like down here and you'll still be good. So it's not too punishing. And again, when I did that, I was stretching with the blue head, because when you stretch with the blue head instead of the red head, when you try and de-stretch blue, it's gonna pull blue down towards red. But since the golf ball is locked in place, the golf ball is gonna be pulling back on blue. So it's actually gonna pull us back with even more force. And that's why we get that's how we're able to get the distance needed to get over here. Now we can't quite end the level just yet. We need to get this star. We don't have a reliable way to clip into this worm. So something interesting, you might think that we can do the same method as play worms, but for whatever reason, or as sleep worms, like on Watcher Walkways and Dream Fields. But for whatever reason, on these specific levels, and actually on 5-Star Arcade, this won't actually be true, but on specifically this level, or this level and Breezy Beach, and the last 2 play levels as well, this strat doesn't actually work. I've never been able to get the front wall to despawn that way. So instead what we're going to do is, luckily, the back half, or just this entire windmill, doesn't have collision, so we can pass right through. And we're going to be... where is the cutscene trigger? I think it's a dog button trigger. Yeah, there we go. We're going to be going into this cutscene trigger right here, and that will give us the final cutscene for the game, or for the level. We're going to go over like that. Again, we're going to let ourselves dip down a bit there so we can get slightly more height, and then pull ourselves up. And now, be careful to avoid this hole. If you get into this hole without triggering the cutscene, then you're stuck in there until you respawn. You have to do that hover again. Just trigger that cutscene and wait for it to finish. Apologies, I'm a little sick right now. Bad allergies. And again, as soon as that cutscene ends and you see the black bars disappear, that means we can just respawn, open the capsule, and then we're done. So that is the fast way to do Putting Pirates. I'm also going to show the sort of normal strats, because they're slightly different from casual play. During here, if you were doing a run, you would quit to menu and or quit to the home world, and then go back in to skip this cutscene, and it'll also put you a bit closer to 5-Star Arcade. But I'll go back in here and show the normal strats. So once again, I'll show you. I'll have to start this cutscene. Then I'm just going to fly to the next hole because that's where it splits off. I don't think I need to show you that hole again. Get up here. Also, with the, ooh, whoa, how did that happen? Game did not like that. You might have noticed the ball appears as soon as, this becomes the active checkpoint. That won't happen if you don't start the game. You have to start the game for that to happen, unfortunately. So yeah, try and push this ball to the end. If you get it perfect, it's slightly faster than shooting it because you're moving with it. Or you can shoot it if you want. And then you're going to go here. Fill up the balloon. Right to the top. And we're going to be completely ignoring this ball too. Because we don't need it. So you're going to see the invisible walls here. Again, our goal is to just get into that checkpoint. So you can actually just hover over here, and then that will get you the checkpoint, and then you're here. Now with this, there's two ways to go about this. Take your pick. So the back part of this hole, there's a little hole right here, and you're going to be able to pass through. But you're going to have to pass through this death plane, which it isn't too thick, so it's not too bad, but it is something to keep in mind. Or you can jump off the side right here. So I'll show both methods. Going over the top here is slightly faster, I'm pretty sure. But it can be a bit troublesome. As you can see, yeah, it doesn't always work great. I also haven't done this in a while since I've just been always doing Cutting Pirates skip. Come on. Where's the hole? How have I not found the hole yet? There we go. There we go. And then you just fall through like that. Easy enough stuff. And then the other method is... Oops, accidentally emoted. Other method is to climb up here. And then getting around this post. A little tricky. And then you're going to go off like this and use this cannon here as basically an additional ramp. And then you can slide off into the checkpoint like that. Alright, final hole is a pain. So you can press that button to slow it down. That will make the hole much easier. But you don't need to. So if you just fire right when... perfectly straight, right when it's vertical like that, it'll usually go in, but I timed it wrong, I guess. And there you go. So yeah, I'd try avoiding that button, but it can be really finicky sometimes. Your time. And that will give you the cutscene here. Unfortunately, it is... Well, theoretically, you can fire a bunch of shots to skip the cutscene here for getting the under par bone. It is slightly slower, or it's much slower actually to do so. So there's really nothing you can do about that. Because naturally you're gonna be way under par because we skip most of the holes. That's the golf game. Now we'll move on to the ball game. So you're gonna see now if I do F4, turn off this dog button trigger and this trigger camera motion. We're still gonna have a small invisible wall out front here, but the one blocking most of the section is not there anymore. So we're just gonna go through. Become ball. So here you can turn off the wind if you want and then go through normally, or you can jump off right here and then do a water jump to go over. That's slightly faster and also a lot of fun, but can be kind of tricky. Go up here and then you just need to get this one. You don't need to get the second button here. You can go straight from button 1 to button 3, and then you're gonna go over top of this. Come on, get up there. Okay. You're gonna go in the wind tunnel and get on top of the wall right here. And by doing that, you can roll along this. And then jump off right here onto the wind tunnel. And then jump off again to get over. You know, it's actually much more consistent than it looks. I don't think I've ever failed it, so it's just really nice. And then you can go up the wind tunnel here, and then try and slow your fall here to avoid the whale. You don't have to slow your fall there, but it will make it very likely that you'll just fall through the water, which is annoying. But doing this will just get the same cutscene that we've already seen, so I'm not going to show that. And again, after putting pirates, you quit to the home hub, like this. And that's going to put you right here. So what you would do then is hop across the water here and do 2 water hops to get to 5-star arcade, also known as 0-star arcade. So yeah, we luckily don't need to get any of the stars here, and even more lucky is that the first game here, the first word clip is extremely easy, and it's actually easier than playing this minigame here. If you play this casually, you might remember this pinball game as being quite a bad source of RNG, and it is trivially easy to avoid it. So we're going to go into the air hockey game, and that's going to make us really small, where they're going to up you over the wall like this. And I'll turn on visualization so you can see what happens. So you're going to see there's going to be an animation this they can do where he looks to the left and looks to the right, like this. And you're going to see on the side, there's actually going to be a hole opening up there. And so we're going to use that to get in. This cycle is random. So keep that in mind. It's also not synced between online co-op players. So if you're playing online co-op, you actually have twice as many chances to get this cycle. So just keep both players here, and whoever gets the cycle first go in. And as with worms in general, as soon as one head gets in, the front wall will despawn. So that just makes it really easy to pull yourself in. So that's the worm skip there. I'm not even going to show how to play those minigames properly, because that is super, super easy to do. So here you can go and on these rails here, go across, but it is a bit faster to just hover across like this. And we're going to do a little dip again to give ourselves slightly more height, and then jump up into that checkpoint. So now the question is, how are we going to get into this final worm? The fastest way, as far as I'm aware, is to grab this shoe. This is the fastest way, but also very inconsistent. So I'll probably fail this a few times. There's a few different setups for this. I'm going to show the one I know. So we're going to put the shoe down here. The shoe, you're going to notice when we grab it, like this, it's actually going to align to whatever direction we're facing, which is really handy here, because we could use it to clip into this front wall. So we're going to wait until the worm looks to the right, and then grab and stretch red. And if things go well, which they don't seem to be, we'd be able to go in. So just keep trying again. I would recommend not doing this strat. It is technically the fastest if you get it first try, but I've lost minutes using this strat before. But that's how you would do it. In theory. I'm going to show you what I think is much easier, because you could actually... unlike putting pirates, you could actually clip into this worm the exact same way as with Dreamfields and Watcher Walkways. So you just get on top here, and then you stretch, de-stretch over and over again. In my opinion, this is slightly slower because it just takes a while to build up the oomph, but it is much more consistent. So this is actually an interesting learning experience. So this is something that can sometimes happen when you're doing this style of clip. You'll see that Redhead is very stuck. So what you're going to try and do is, you can respawn and just, the wall will stay despawned and then you'll be good. But you can also flip in through the bottom like this if you're lined up right. This is pretty tricky. And also harder on playworms, but it's sort of the backup if you get stuck in there like that. But ideally that doesn't happen, but if that happens, that's a way you can solve that problem. Just going back in. So I will show you playing the games for the second floor, just because those clips are a bit harder. So load 2. Ourselves right there. So as far as I'm aware, the fastest order for this is to play the moon game over here, and then the bike game, and then the bowling. So the bowling's actually a weird exception to the only need to open last capsule rule, where if you don't open bowling last, then opening the last capsule won't open the bowling capsule for you. So that's why we do bowling last, because that way we can open it as the last capsule, and then we can open all 3 capsules at once. So we grab this on this, and then sort of just do this fast. That, it's not too hard to do fast. Just practice that a few times until you get really comfortable with the motions to get up there. And then we don't need to open this capsule. And we're going to make our way up to the bike game. So we're going to get this checkpoint here. And we're going to respawn to that. Got the bike game. And this isn't too hard. Just make sure you don't lose all your lives. That's pretty easy to do. So as soon as this game ends, with that you can respawn, and just that cutscene will trigger a bit later, and then you can go into bowling. And yeah, we don't need to open that capsule. So bowling can be kind of luck based. Sometimes these pins will just decide to stay up, but if you just aim for the center most of the time, you'll just get 3 strikes in a row. Sometimes mean stuff can happen, but it doesn't look like this time. Pretty simple stuff. And then we just open this capsule. Like so, and you can see we just have all the stars, and we'd be able to finish 5-star cave, but I won't show that because I've already shown how to get up there. Not really much to show. So I'll instead move on to Cosmic Coaster. So, as are the general rules with grabbable objects, we can push them faster if both are grabbing. So, you can actually do this with just like one head dangling, but it's slightly slower to do so, so just grab with both heads. and go on through very normally. And then once you see these turn green, that means you've hit the checkpoint, and you can respawn. So you could play this crane game here. That would be a casual way to do it. I'm not going to show that because it's fairly simple and intuitive to understand. But if you want to do the worm clip, you would just go down here like this. That drop could be a little scary because it can bounce you and sometimes almost throw you off. And we're going to try and do, this can be a kind of tricky uppie. Actually going onto this little invisible world here. And actually I'll show what my visual setup for this is. I could have gone in there, but I want to wait and show you my visual setup. So I'm going to use this tooth right here. I'm going to stay on the left side of it and push against the left side of that tooth always. And then when he does the animation, you'll just go in. Because without the visual setup, that can be kind of annoying to line up. It's not too hard with the visual setup. And then just pull up the other head through, because the wall's despawned at that point. So it is very, very easy to skip this bumper cars game. You just need to do a single uppie. We're going to uppie up to here. And then we're going to swing around like this, and then put blue head into the tube. Very, very simple stuff. Alright, this game can be solved very, very quickly. Just jump down here, grab this one, and then release with one of the heads. And that will teleport it and also bring you with it. And then release the other head, and you're through. So, with this, actually I put a warp point right here. So you could play these games and you'd have to flip this switch to get that capsule. Or you could just skip this these games entirely. Jump over here till you get this checkpoint, which is decently large. Pokes off. Doesn't poke off past the end of the platform, but if you just get on the platform, you probably hit it. And then what we'll do is we'll get over to this platform and then clip into the worm the same way we did on 5-Star Arcade. So this fling's a little tricky. So we're going to stretch blue and let it down, and then we're going to try and get to that position. And then I use the shadow of the red head as a setup here. So you don't want it when it's going straight out like this. That will just send you out to the side. You want to have the shadow pointing down right. So let's try and get that like this. And then that will send you over pretty reliably. So the reason that fling works so well, because you might notice that flings you like a bit further than most flings usually do, is if I F4 glide zone, we're actually going to be getting into this glide zone a bit. And what glide zones will do is they're actually speed up the direction of which you're going. This glide zone's here to make sure it's more or less impossible to fall at the end of the slide. But we can use it to make it very easy to get over to this platform. And then we'll just clip into this worm as though it was Green Fields or Watcher Walkways or 5-Star Arcade. Same concept. Yeah, so once that happens, you can de-stretch, it will spit you out, and now the front wall will be deloaded, and you can just go through. I'm going to actually respawn the front wall, because I want to show you the actual strats for the level. This is if you don't want to do that. Skip. That skip only saves 30 seconds over playing the level normally, so it's not huge to get. So if you don't feel comfortable with it, don't worry too much. It is not much slower to just play the level. Then we're going to grab both these. This section's a pain. Really, I don't have much of the way of strats for this, just do your best to make it through. Sometimes you can make it up through this without needing, yeah, like that, without needing the spinner, but sometimes it just won't work out right and you'll need the spinner. It's a pain. Yeah, respawn at the end of that to go through there, and then to the top of this tube. Make sure you grab this checkpoint because we're going to need it. So, we're going to end this game without ever playing the game. What we're going to do is we're going to get this switch here, basically instantly. You'll notice I can't let go of the crane once it's above this section. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to swing blue head like this, and then when it's at its peak, stretch and bark to get it over, and then release, and that will end the game. And then we can respawn, and that'll put us back here. That's why you need to get that checkpoint. You're then going to double uppy right around here to get over this, and try and jump over there. Normally a cutscene would trigger here, but since we've already triggered it, that won't happen. And normally you would also need to open the capsule here, but we've kind of messed with the sequence a bit, so it's not happy with us. But yeah, you can see we have 3 stars, so you can just go in. So this final section of Cosmic Coaster here doesn't really have much in the way of tech, or really anything in the way of tech. So you're going to grab onto these, and you can actually force yourself through these start gates to, like, have you start a frame ahead. Otherwise, it's just hold forwards. So these satellites here are on a global cycle. So whatever you make here is just dependent on how fast you do the level, so there's not much you can do about it, other than play the level faster. And just make it to the end, and down through the tube. Something that is interesting, just in terms of, like, theoretical stuff. Not really a strat because we don't have any way to do this yet, but this final platform is loaded from the beginning of the level, and does actually give the star you need to finish the game. So theoretically, if there is some way to launch yourself from, like, the beginning of the level all the way over here, you could skip the entire level, but we don't have any method of doing that yet. People have been trying stuff on this rail that's not loaded right now to see if they can get over, but nobody's succeeded with it yet, unfortunately. I would very much like to skip this entire level, but just a little thing that may be possible in the future, but unlikely. But that's Cosmic Coaster. Not too in-depth of a level. So the fastest way to get to Magic Box, I'll actually show this with visualizations, is you're going to jump off right here, and then use the water to boost you up onto the Frederick platform, and then you're going to clip into this checkpoint from below, like that, and then just respawn, and now you're up here. Anyways, this is Magic Box. So, first thing here is these octopi. If you land this jump right, like right at the end of this octopus, then you'll be able to get enough height to go up and over this wall here, going over the house and skipping everything in the house. If you don't make it over, you can actually just uppy onto it. This is slightly slower because you have to pull yourself up, but still faster than going through the house. Or you can go through the house if you want. Alright, so what's going on here is, so what's supposed to happen is we go into this doghouse, and then we fall into the titular Magic Box, and then a cutscene plays, and then we go down to the next section of the level. But you're going to see this is actually all loaded in here, so we don't actually need to go into the Magic Box at all. Wait a second. I just had an idea for a new strat. I'm gonna test this as a joke. While I'm here. So if you were on top of the house, like so, how hard would it be to just up you onto this invisible wall here? It might be not really reasonable. Yeah, it's not really reasonable. Unless you could like do it like that. I was thinking if you could up you onto this invisible wall, you could probably just hover over the death plane, but yeah, not like that. Never mind. So when we go into this doghouse, you're going to see that death plane is going to despawn. And because of that, we can actually just jump over right here and then jump around to skip the cutscene in the magic box and land down here. So, this is going to be very similar to 5-Star Arcade, where we can make ourselves small to flip into worms. So we're going to use that right here. Jump on the jump pad here to skip the goop that would resize you. I'm going to turn off visualizations because I can't see. And then, same idea to get in there. Just point at that tooth until it lets you in. And spit out here. Something interesting is that online co-op will spit you out further sometimes, and it's actually possible for it to spit you out over the top of these barriers, which is slightly faster, but that's not possible in solo or local co-op. Head on up here. So the fastest way through this section is directly through these dominoes. So I do this by just using only the left stick and let Redhead go completely limp. Moving that way is slightly slower than if you press both sticks, but it's a bit more consistent for fitting through tight gaps like that. We're gonna make our way up here. So, something interesting about these gravity field objects, or force zones, I think are what they're called, is that if you stretch while you're inside them, you're going to build up speed very, very quick. And we can actually use it here to fling all the way over this way. So show that. So what I do is I go off here, and then as soon as I'm in the force zone, hold upright on both heads and stretch. And if all goes well, that's an okay outcome. Ideally, you don't trigger that cutscene because you don't need it. Ideally, you'll actually land about here, but it's not too bad. And you can also, for safety, I would usually try to aim for this checkpoint here, just in case you get launched off with too much speed and say like go down like that, then you can just respawn at the checkpoint. If you miss that checkpoint, then you're gonna have to go back to the top of the ramp, which loses a lot of time. So I'm gonna stretch in this to build up a lot of speed, like that, and then we're just gonna hold forwards. The reason we do this is actually for a tiny speed boost right here. When we hit the ground there, it's going to push us forward slightly. And we're going to get up here, release stretch. And then this is really tricky to bring yourself up from. So what I do for this is I stretch. Ooh, it just did it by itself. Now I look like a chump. I'm going to actually go down and show that again. So you go up like this. I stretch red, and then try and jump red up like that. And then release blue, and then just go up like that. That seems more reliable, or the most reliable method for getting up there. Don't hit that star, because you don't need that checkpoint. I'm going to turn off visualizations here so I can see. And yeah, the camera's going to be weird for this, but the setup is identical. Point at the tooth. Go in. Easy as pie. Okay. So, this section here is very much a pain, so the most consistent strat for this is to bounce twice on this, and then land on this, and if you time this right, you can go immediately to the next one, like that. Uh-oh. This is why it's dangerous. It's very easy. If you're too aggressive on this section, it's very easy to just do too much. But you can jump across this triangle part right there, and make it over. Shapes game, best way to play is one head grabs star, other head grabs triangle, then you pull triangle over to the enlarge, Then pull both shapes up to their holes, and then just track down the cylinder, whatever it is. That's pretty good location for it. It can go flying all over the place depending on how just collision feels. You can go through. It's not hard at all to jump around the shapes game, but we currently don't have a reliable method of flipping into the final worm on this level, because the worm is actually slightly smaller than typical worms, so we can't use the go small strat, and these are also like the same kind of worms where using like the Dream Fields Watcher Walkway strat that also doesn't work. We're going to need to open these capsules, unfortunately. And this is also an exception to the rule of only needing to open last capsule. On this worm, you do need to open both capsules. Fire that ball off straight, and then you're just going to wait here. So long as you fired it straight, it will make it to the end. So don't worry about how long this is taking. It will always work. Oops. Then open the capsule. Now we're going to stretch one head to the pipe, other head to the balloon, go up here, and then yeah. This is pretty simple. Just weave through the NPCs and the cars. But yeah, you'll see that to make this perspective trick work, they need to make this worm smaller than most worms. And that's why normal clip methods don't work. Unfortunately. That is Magic Box. So, Stationary Village, I'm going to start off showing the IL route that is not really viable for RTA. I'll have a separate timestamp in the descriptions for the IL route and the RTA viable route. I've always been thinking about putting this route into the full game run, but it is very, very difficult. But I'll still show it because it is the fastest way to do it. So you're going to jump off to the side here immediately, and then land on the left side of that slide, and then hold right, and that will send you over this way. So the reason that works is because there's another glide zone right here. So by landing towards the left side of this glide zone, you can build up speed through it to launch yourself over here. If you land on the right side, you won't build up as much speed in the glide zone, so you won't usually won't be able to make it to this platform. So just make sure you land on the left side of that slide. So what we do for the IL strat is we're gonna grab this, and then stretch all the way out till we're touching this covering, and then bark to freeze ourselves, jump on top of this igloo, and get over here. So the goal is to get on the side of this tower and then jump across to right here, which is very close to the end of the level. So I'll give that a shot, but this is very, very tricky. Might take me a few tries, so bear with me. We're just going to bark up here, like so. And now, so we do need to be a little concerned here. If you go up too high and jump off, you actually hit the top of that, or the bottom of that slide above us. And that will push you down a bit and not let you hit the distance you need. So you're going to go up, but you're not going to go too far up. See, I didn't like that. I think I hit the top there. So I'm going to jump back down and... But that looked good, that looked good. And then get this angle right. This angle takes a lot of practice. And just mash for your life. And you should make it over to here. Very nice. That was the easy part, unfortunately. We're going to make it here, and then we're going to get this checkpoint. Now, for this, we're going to be lining ourselves like this, and then fully extending blue until it gets to the end, and then drop down and freeze. And if we did this right, we're going to be able to proxy off of the collision here. And there we go, very nice. If you go over that blue cube, then you have enough height to just make it all the way to the end of the next section. Like this. And once you're about here, you'll have the checkpoint. So something to be worried about when you're doing that is this checkpoint right here. So if you accidentally, I don't know why this checkpoint's here, but if you accidentally hit it, you will soft lock the level, because if you respawn, you just fall. And as far as I can tell, there's no way to save yourself from that. So just make sure you avoid it. But it's not too hard to do. Luckily, the one you want is the much bigger one. And then at this point, you can stretch in this elevator to go up faster. Don't stretch too much or you'll go way too high, and then stretch there to push yourself forwards faster. Now, the big problem with the stationary Village RTA Route is right here. So, this is another one of the worms where we can't use the overtop method. And we don't have the ability to make ourselves small. So how are we gonna get into this worm? And the answer is the Penguin Rodeo. So these penguins sliding around are grabbable, actually. For some reason, there's no mechanic which requires you to do this, but you can grab it. And then if you do this just right, and you have to sort of release stretch at the right time here, not at the right time, and also it's not consistent even if it was. This is why this isn't viable for RTA, by the way. Everything else is fine. But if you could get this just right, no. Nope. Wait. So the goal is to get stuck in the ground there so that when the penguin moves around, it will actually put you inside the worm. But that is not easy to do, believe it or not. And will take a while. Nope. That was looking good. Nope. I don't even know why I tried with that attempt, but... Whoa! That was wild. No. So this route does save a minute and a half, but... that's only if you get this, and I shouldn't need to explain any further that this is very inconsistent. If I spend much longer on this, I'll just put a link in the description to show this strat being done successfully, because I do have a video of it. Because, yeah. Penguin Rodeo. Ooh, nah. That one had potential, but didn't work out. No. Ooh, ooh, oh, respawn? And no, what? It didn't work? Well, that's the idea, is to try and get a link into the worm like that, and then respawn and hope it despawns. I'm not going to show this anymore. I think you get the idea. Penguin Rodeo is very inconsistent, is all I'll say about that. But that is a way you could theoretically finish Stationary Village in about 2 minutes. If you master the Penguin Rodeo. The RTA viable route, the same deal with the beginning. We're going to launch off right here. And then here's where it's going to split off. We're going to more or less do the level in the right direction. So we're going to try and double uppy up this. This is a very tricky double uppy. Often you won't get both up. If you only get one up, can I actually like get only one up? There we go. So if you only get one up, release the one that didn't get up, and then just pull yourself up like that. Ideally, both heads get up, and then you can just release. Make your way on through to here. Open the star. And then here, you're gonna go past here and then stretch blue towards like that to make a shape that sort of looks like a crescent like this. We're going to be using this to get around this goop here. Jump like that so that you don't lose the shape. And then you can just jump over that. So one thing I will mention about these kind of hovers, when you're frozen, this involves like both heads pressing bark at like the same exact time. You can see on the controller that's what I'm doing. That is really, really hard to co-op. These are possible in co-op, but they're very tricky. So you may just want to play the Etch-a-Sketch if you want. It doesn't take too long. But this is faster. Sorry, I didn't show what I just did right there. So this is actually very similar to what I did in Watch Your Walkways with the gravity field. Right now, blue head has normal downwards gravity, whereas red head has sideways gravity. So red head, if I move it forwards and back, it will go up and down. Blue head, if I move it forwards and back, it will go like this. And because of that, I can hold forwards on red head and then hold back on blue head to just bring it over that lip like that. Just make your way over. And then cut this corner however much you feel safe. The more the better, but it can be a little scary. Get as small as you can to fit through here. You can actually make it on top, but it's pretty inconsistent and doesn't really save time, so there's no real point. So here, ideally, you will jump this goop here. It's not a big deal if you don't. Unfortunate. If you don't, then you just double uppy up this, or single uppy, and then pull the other head up if you don't get the double uppy. If you didn't defreeze there, you'd be able to get up there much easier. But it's the same sort of idea. And next. So there's two ways you can do this area. We can do this. This is the faster strat. You're going to make a shape that sort of looks like that with the red head sort of hooking out to the left. And that's going to let us jump across this without using the spinner. Like that. We actually got a really good bounce there. Now we're going to jump up onto these crayons and sort of ride them over. Like so, until we get here. And once we're here, you can just jump to the left like this. And you will, if you go a bit more forward, you'll hit that checkpoint. I'm not going to show that because I want to show the other strat. So the other strat, this strat is much easier. You're going to stretch out and get this. And then go over to the spinner. And then just go across normally. So you could do a similar strat over the crowns here, but it's a bit harder and a bit less consistent. So if you're doing it this way, it's probably just worth it to defreeze yourself here. And then either double up or single up to here. And bring yourself over until you get to this checkpoint here. And then you can respawn. And I'll put you right on the button too. You head over this way. Grab that. And again, this strat is going to be the same thing where you extend fully to make yourself get a super jump. I'm actually going to purposefully fail this and get a really bad jump by making this way too short. Just so I can show you the other strat, the backup strat. You go here. That gave me more height than expected. It didn't give me enough height. You need to get up to that blue cube. But yeah, defreeze here. And then, jump over here. Jump over here. And then jump over like this. Actually, I will show, now that I'm thinking about it, I'll show the super bounce, just because technically I did it in the IO route, so I should show it again in the non-IO route. So let's just go over here. So again, the setup for this is to Get over like this, and then stretch blue out fully. And then release, and then at the right time, when it's about vertical, be like that. And then hopefully you'll get enough height. That's probably enough. It's going to be a bit close. As a safety, you can also land onto... So that would have worked. Unfortunately, the checkpoint right now isn't active because I've already triggered it before. In fact, it's already our current checkpoint. But that attempt would have made it into that checkpoint, and then I could have just respawned. You could also land on this, and that makes it a bit more reliable. But you have to go back a bit for that. And then here you just go over. Push this forwards. But now the worm mouth is open, which means we don't need to do the penguin rodeo, thankfully. Anyways, that is in the stationary village. So now we're going to go into Frederick, the boss for Playworld. Just going to walk down here, get pet by this guy. Just for fun. And then go over into Frederick. Start the level by holding forwards. And grab this button as quick as possible. So there's not really too much tech to Frederick, but there is some... There's at least one piece of tech for every minigame. And this order is random, but it doesn't matter what order you get. Starting off with shapes, which is the easiest to do. So, shapes is bugged. You only actually need to get one of the stars to get full points. The second star will give nothing. I can actually show that right here, because this will be a vertical one. So I'm going to get one star and then jump into the second. You're going to see the second will give no points. So get this, get points, jump into the next, 0 points. So this is trivially easy because of that. You only need to get one of these stars. There's no reason to get more. Unfortunately, that doesn't make this any less long. It's 4 cycles per phase with 3 phases, so that's 12 cycles total. And that takes a while. It takes like 2 minutes. It's very, very unfortunate. It's also worth noting that the order of these shapes is static. You'll get the same shapes every time. Not that it would really matter if they weren't random, because it's not like this is hard anyways, but it's always the same order. Alright, one more cycle. And then we're out of here. Luckily, the next 2 games are a bit more action-packed. So, shooting, if you're playing in co-op, you can have both of you shoot. In my opinion, that's really, really hard in solo, so for solo, I just try to recommend focusing on one. It's a bit slow, but the game's just really hard otherwise. So yeah, just focus on making good shots. The one piece of sort of tech for the shooting game is between the second and third phase, it's not actually a cutscene, and you can still keep shooting. So you can actually finish the third phase before it even starts if you do it exactly right. So I'll try and show that. As you can see, I'm firing there. And you can see some of the towers are already falling. And it looks like all of them are falling. That's sort of like what the optimal third phase looks like. By the time it loads in, it's already mostly done. Hammers is another game that's really, really hard solo. It might be possible to make this first cycle here, but I've never done it. But other than that, just sort of memorize this route. With the hammers, you do need to hit 2 of them at the same time for them to go down. So it's very, very important that you sort of do this route exactly right. And that is very hard solo and takes a lot of practice. I'm still bad at it. I'm especially bad at this third phase. Do your best to just avoid getting caught on these, but it can be very hard not to. As you can see, I'm just getting stuck all over the place. And same for this. You want to go sort of against the grain here because it means the they're going to be coming to you slightly, so it is slightly faster to go in this direction. And then here you can de-stretch and just go hammer away, and you'll hit 2 of them every time, basically. Once you clear 2 of these, you can respawn, and now put you at the top, and then you just need to hit the middle one and one of the side ones to end it. It won't end until you hit the middle one, so make sure you get the middle one. Hitting 2 of the side ones won't do it. Final game is tennis. Luckily, we don't need to put any thought into this. So, to explain what's going to happen here, tennis only increments points when you hit the ball. So the fastest way to hit the ball is this. So we're going to hit the ball, respawn, hit the ball, respawn, hit the ball, respawn, hit the ball, respawn, and just keep doing this over and over again. Never let him hit the ball because that is slow. That takes time. And again, this first phase here is going to have a cutscene in between. Wait for the cutscene to end, then respawn. And repeat the same strat. So here, you can actually sit here and sometimes hit that between the transition. And these balls all grant different amounts of points. And it just so happens that the middle ball grants the most points. So the fastest way is still do this. You actually want to do one more... Oh, it broke. You have to hit one more shot into him after the minigame ends, and it can be a little finicky. Just make sure you shouldn't respawn the final shot because it needs to actually hit him for it to end. And this is trivial. Just grab this. And then just smash both bumpers until you win. And that's Frederick. Not really an exciting boss fight. There is some stuff to learn. There is skill to it, but it's just kind of a pain. I'm not a fan of it. Anyways, you end this and you exit to Home Hub. And then here, there's going to be a cutscene, so you're going to exit the main menu. And then continue. And that'll put you right here, and then you head off to food. But this will be the end for this part. And then the next part will be the last part, and it will cover Food World as well as Lost Temple. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. And the next part will be out soon.